Hi guys, it's Ben from T-Rex Space Station here. How are you all doing? I hope you're all well. I've been continuing my New Year's spending spree on Steam, and you see here some gameplay footage of a game called Mark of the Ninja, which I don't think cost too much at all actually. I think it was about £3.50. Now, ColonelBasic left a comment on my gameplay video and talkie video where I was showing some footage of V, and he said that actually at the moment he prefers indie games to the so-called AAA titles, and I thought that was a pretty interesting comment to make, and it's one that's got me thinking a little bit, and it could be quite interesting to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both sides of the thing. Now, just as a little bit of background, I've actually mostly been on the mainstream side of video games for, most of my adult life. I've tended to buy the big games when they've come out and things that have been talked about a lot. And it's only been recently, say over the last 12 months or so, maybe 18 months, that I've been into the whole Steam side of things. And Steam really for me has been my step into indie games and kind of slightly more obscure titles. And so I'm still a relative newcomer to it, but that gives me some interesting perspectives, I suppose. Now, I suppose one of the big advantages of indie games is that they're so cheap. As I said, Mark of the Ninja I think was £3.50. It's very rare that I will spend more than £5 for a game on Steam, and there are so many Steam sales where you kind of go nuts and buy large numbers of games en masse. But it's like, well, why not? Because they're just very, very affordable. I actually these days very rarely will buy brand new video games at all, simply because I find the price to be unacceptable. And that's something that's increased even in the last, say, maybe 5 or 6 years of being a gamer. I remember that the bar was set at £30 for a brand new game, and now that seems to be being pushed all the time. It seems as though you'll be lucky to get a new mainstream title now for less than £40. And I remember saying a while ago in my video about the pricing of video games, I think it was Metal Gear Solid, the new Metal Gear Solid game on the Xbox, it was 45 quid in the shops. And I was just not prepared to pay that, and I did manage to find it for cheaper on Amazon, but the point is that it's just not in my best interest to buy brand new games. So even though I do still like mainstream titles, it will often be that I'll wait a little bit of time till after they're released and buy them in good condition on eBay, just because of the price. So yeah, indie games win in the sense that they're much more affordable, and I guess there's a few things that go along with that. Because the games are so cheap, it means that I'm more prepared to take a punt at games that I may not normally play. If you spend 40 quid for a game, you're kind of committed to playing it. If it turns out to be shit, yes, you may be able to take it back, but you're kind of stuck there with a big investment. With indie games, if it's a game that looks like I might enjoy it, but it's risky or it's got something new that may or may not fall on its face, it is worth a punt, because if I spent 2 quid on it, it turns out to be shit. Well, oh well. I'm sure I got 10 minutes of fun out of it, and it's not such a big loss. And it means that you can kind of cast your nets a little bit wider and just take some risks. And I really like that about indie games. The other thing is, I've been saying in the past that I feel like games are getting a little bit stuck in terms of the same genres and same approaches. We've got so many first-person shooters and so many JRPGs, and I think there's a big call for new approaches to video games. And I would say that indie games again are part of that, because there's such a huge number of games that are in development. There's more variety and there's more risk involved, and I think this is supporting these kind of games is one way of pushing video game innovation. I think that the big companies may tend to play it more safe because it's more risky for them to go too far out of the mainstream in terms of inventiveness. And I think we see good examples of that with Nintendo. They've tended to play it very safe, especially on their mainstream consoles like the Wii or the Wii U. I feel like they've played it far too safe over the past few years and don't tend to stick their necks out very much. But with indie games, well, there's nothing to lose. They probably take less resources to make and less time, so people can be more risky with them. And I think this is part of pushing video games forward in terms of exploring new approaches and new genres and things. Certainly a lot of the indie games that I have played so far have been really creative and very different, and I like that. The other thing that I really like is taking part in the development of games, and I've bought a few indie games that are in sort of open beta phases, and it's nice to support a game in process and have a hand at contributing to its development and ironing out bugs and things, and seeing it slowly emerge into the final title. And that's a very rewarding thing to do, and something that I've really enjoyed about a couple of the indie games that I've got. One being Starbound, which I did a gameplay video of, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. And the other side of things on Steam, of course, is the Greenlight system, which is basically a kind of platform up onto the main Steam market where we as a community get to play games on there and decide what we want, what games should make it onto Steam and which ones shouldn't. And that's a very organic process, and again I feel like it's a way of us gamers having some contribution into the way that video games develop and the style of games that we like. Rather than Steam themselves deciding what should make it, it's giving something back to the people, and we get to do it. Now, of course, there are downsides to that, and it is obviously in Steam's best interests to have Greenlight. It means that we do the work for them, and they can also have a huge number of titles kind of available to keep things going. But yeah, I think Greenlight is a great idea. Have I noticed any drawbacks in terms of indie games that you don't get with mainstream titles? Well, I suppose that often that comes down to, especially on the online games, kind of support for online systems and dedicated servers. There are a few games that I've bought, Starbound being one of them, Hammerwatch being another, where there don't seem to be that many dedicated servers out there, or they haven't thought in particular detail about how they're going to implement the multiplayer, and have left that kind of down to you, so you have to make your own servers, and some of them have had very kind of fiddly ways of getting multiplayer with port forwarding and things like that, and I really can't be arsed with that. Now, you don't tend to get that with mainstream titles. You know, if you look at Diablo 3, for example, that's a bit of a mixed example because it had a lot of issues to iron out, but overall I thought that their approach to online play there was very it was pretty well thought out, and I didn't have that many major issues with it. So you do kind of get that support and infrastructure that comes along with the mainstream titles. The other thing is, well, more people are probably playing the mainstream titles, though I'm not sure if that's going to be the case forever, and I'm sure the tides are turning a little bit. But yeah, maybe in terms of multiplayer and things it's easier, but I've never actually had any issue with getting my friends to play games on Steam, and that's the fun side of indie games, is that you can find something yourself and show it to your friends, and there's low risk for them, and so that's nice, kind of finding a hidden gem and showing them something, and then all playing it on multiplayer, which I've done a few times. The last kind of fun game that I spotted on there was God Mode, which is a pretty fun kind of fun kind of fast-paced dungeon shooter. We had quite a bit of fun playing that. So yeah, I think maybe it's good that we're challenging the mainstream titles now. We're challenging the old ways of doing things and the classic approaches to games, and so many video games coming out now from indie developers that it's moving things forward. It's very exciting, and my video game library's expanded really quickly into a very broad way, because of just the rapidity of the games coming out and the price. Yeah, so it's just been a little bit of a discussion on the benefits of indie games, and I think I've not talked that much about the benefits of mainstream games here, have I? But yes, I'd be interested to hear your opinions on things. Do you guys use Steam? Do you play indie games, or have you mostly stuck with mainstream titles? And yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. Alright guys, take care, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.